So we're back, and this is season 2, episode 2. And as promised, I told you we were going to talk about the war in Venezuela. But we're going to talk about a lot more than that. And, again, I'd like to start out by saying it is important for us as a culture and a community to become more aware of what's going on in the country in which we live. This is our country, and everything that occurs on a national level, a local level, even a city level affects you. So you might want to know what's going on and then be well aware. Don't take everything that we say as the Bible. I'm saying we're giving you information. Go out, research it, look for it. And if you find that we've made a mistake or a misstatement, feel free to, let us know. Send it in and tell us, what you found out. Today, though, I am so happy to have Khalid back so that we can talk about a topic that has really been interesting to me. Being a military brat, my father serving in 3 wars and understanding what wars do to communities, to our country, how it affects us as a people. My father served in World War II, Korean War, and all the way through to the end of the Vietnam War. And I know the effect it had on us as a family. But I think that we don't discuss, honestly, what the effect will have on us as a community and in America.
Yeah.
And so what do you think? Tell me about, so we just ran up into Venezuela and captured their leader and his wife, and we brought them back to America to stand trial on a drug case. And they I guess embrace his leadership, to take the leadership. And now we're what? What's that going to do to us?
That is a $1 trillion question at this point with all the resources that are involved. It's hard to say what the fallout of this situation is going to be. But if there's one thing that we learned from history, well, I'll start off by saying like this. Everything about this situation is going to be bickered and disputed back and forth. There's even a dispute on if it was an act of war, or were
law enforcement,
that kind of thing. Okay, well, if somebody came into the United States and took an elected official, I wouldn't even say the president. Let's just say a state elected official. I'll go like that. Came in, guns blazing, landed helicopters, extracted this individual and took him out. If the United States wouldn't consider that an act of war, especially if they came in and killed 75 people.
Right. Right.
So anyway, there's a dispute on even what the terminology is of what transpired. But what I'll say is that the implications of the blowback, the things that will happen as a result of this, is one thing that I don't think can be disputed, because obviously we've got history to refer to.
Right.
And there is no situation where there was a major toppling, a major change that was forced upon a particular community or country that didn't result in unforeseen, long-lasting, and devastating results. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So this situation, in my opinion, is going to be no different. Now, the administration is saying that, this is the total opposite of Iraq and we got it all planned, and the regime actually didn't change because the people are still in charge. And
right,
blah, blah, blah.
right.
Okay, well, what about a Russia or a China? You know what I mean? Because, Russia is dealing with a similar situation
with Ukraine. Yeah.
China with Taiwan.
Yeah.
There's all these countries that have disputes with territories and other countries all over the world. And what has kept these countries, even the ones that have the power to do whatever they will, what has kept these countries in check is this, you know, the idea of a rule of law.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And the United States has functioned as the biggest supporter of these rules, these international rules.
Yeah.
So when the United States starts to break the rule,
what's going to happen?
Yeah.
What's going to happen there? You know, and it's interesting too, because straight out, we hadn't even got out of Venezuela before we were talking about we're getting ready to take Greenland. Now, even before that, look out Colombia and Cuba. So you're within our international waters, and you're in our geographical area, and we want to control all of that.
Yeah.
So we are get ready because we want to run that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the conversation, though, it goes to, we want to control the resources that you have.
Yes.
So now the big thing, and that's been from day one, we want Greenland. We want Greenland. We want Greenland. And I had a hard time, and I'm still trying to figure out, what does Greenland have that we want? Why Greenland? And Denmark has been, there, it has covered them and taken care of them, and never had a problem with the U.S. coming in, setting up bases, being on the land. But you want to control it. You want total control. And you're saying because China and Russia both have military presence in the waters surrounding it. What is the purpose?
Yeah, that's a great question, because the whole purpose of NATO is to check Russia. But the administration and the right, for the most part, has come to the conclusion that this idea that Russia is our enemy is just something we've been fed for the past couple decades. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After the Cold War.
Yeah.
And for the most part, they've kind of softened their stance on Russia. I used to work for the Defense Intelligence Agency in the Russian office. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the office that I worked in earlier this year, Pete Hegseth shut down their cybersecurity operations against Russia. Yes. And so if Russia is no longer viewed as such a threat,
yeah,
then why is acquiring Greenland from a NATO strengthening standpoint, why is that even a thing?
Right.
Because NATO loses its importance since Russia is no longer an enemy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we don't really care about our NATO allies. We, they're gonna pay their fair share, and just treating them bad. These supposed to be our allies. These supposed to be countries that are gonna go to war with us
if something big breaks out.
Right.
Yeah.
But now Russia isn't so much of a threat.
Yeah.
Or it's been a lie, or whatever the ideology is behind it. This administration is not treating Russia as a threat as just the previous administration did right before him, or Trump's previous administration did.
Right.
So then how is strengthening NATO a justifiable reason to acquire Greenland?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's really difficult to not see some of the writing on the wall. Because if you think about, never in the history of the presidential office that I can think of, that I know of, and there might be history that I'm missing, so please don't take this as being the law. But when you think about, let's go to Israel. We have supported Israel in taking over Gaza. part of the deal with Israel is the Trump administration wants to control Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be the rebuilders of Gaza.
Those videos they made,
yeah,
I couldn't even believe that was even something that would come from the White House.
Yeah. Well, the man is building a 900,000 square foot, a 90,000 square foot ballroom to the White House. So, but yeah, you had all these resorts and things in Gaza after hundreds of thousands of people have not only been displaced, well, millions have been displaced and hundreds of thousands have been killed. And the place is in rubble, and you come up with renderings for these exclusive, very luxurious resorts. So that's first. And then you look at Venezuela, and the first thing you say is, I'm in control. I'm running Venezuela. We're going to run Venezuela. We're going to run Venezuela.
Yep.
Then you think about the Saudi Arabia, where you are building right now and have built, you and your family have built luxury housing, hotels, resorts, businesses, and these same people have given you a $2 billion plane. Okay, so now, and what I'm looking at is wealth being amassed from the White House.
Yeah.
Utilizing the White House as a place to amass wealth for yourself and your family.
Yep.
And setting it up in a legal manner where, so what I think about is, my question has always been, why is there so many Republican legislators who will stand with him knowing he's not even allowing you to do your job.
Right.
And you are supporting not doing your job. You will get on TV and defend his position and deflect, because when you start asking the questions, the blatant questions, you deflect to, well, Biden and Hunter and Obama and Clinton, and deflection is their next thing. Is their number one thing. I guess my big question is, when are we going to see that this White House is structured to pay off? Because with the kind of money that they're amassing, a lot of these legislators would never see this kind of money. So when are we going to start looking at what kind of deals are being made behind the scenes that causes the Lindsey Grahams and, the old traditional Republicans to step into that? And then I expect that from the new Republicans. I expect that because they've been groomed and brought into the fold. They're making money. Some of them are getting businesses and jobs and contracts and things throughout the government that none of us really get to see. But I guarantee you, even when this administration turns over, because that's something we have to make happen, when they start peeling back the onion skins, you're going to see a lot of these Republican legislators who have stood with this president having illegal dealings through business contracts for their families, for themselves.
Yeah.
When are we how do we even get to that? How do we get to that point where we can do that? I guess that's the question.
I think that, this whole situation can be summed up in the phrase American imperialism.
Wow.
And I think that, America is like, if you look at like a clock, there's been periods throughout American history where it's reached a point where it had amassed so much wealth and power that even the the thought or the reality of its own ideas, its constitution and everything like that no longer matter, because the people in power at the peak, the precipice of this power position in the country are then going to use the country to amass wealth. And they're going to enrich themselves.
Yeah.
And then that's going to be criticized to a point that it'll die down again. And then the clock will shift back towards another cycle of progressive liberalism. And we should be nice to everybody and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Until it gets back to a point where we've amassed, again, so much wealth and power and so on and so forth, that there's going to be another individual at the top who's going to then use that position to harvest. They harvest all of the wealth and the ability of what can be done with all this power and stuff.
Right.
So, after the Revolutionary War, and the United States had amassed all this power, firepower, they had organized militias, the military was built, and things like that. They took control of all these resources, et cetera, et cetera. Well, then they started to expand.
Yeah.
Imperialism followed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the same thing happened, various wars in between then and World War I, but it happened after World War I. It happened after World War II. World War II is when it went global.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We started building all these military bases all over the world.
Yeah.
We started to think about things like spheres of influence, which you hear, they're talking about that again today.
Yeah.
This whole concept of the Monroe Doctrine is a sphere of influence conversation. That was a World War II conversation, at the entrance of the Cold War, which is where, the United States started to believe that it had to control its hemisphere against the polar threat of the other hemisphere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so without provocation, because at least during that point, there was a provoking being another world power that was able and willing to do X, Y, Z.
Right.
But in this particular case, it's happening without provocation. So, Russia isn't, expanding the way it was during the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for one, I will say this. I do also believe that as soon as the Epstein conversation gets closer to Trump, he immediately turns around and goes and kills people in different parts of the world.
This is true.
Right? It's like he's upset. He got to get the conversation going in some other direction. And then he does something so outlandish that it directs the flow of media and conversation away from this for a period of time until that dies down. And then the Epstein tide rolls back in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two is, as you said, they have literally, and within the past few weeks, the way they're, and this is the entire administration, even like somebody like Marco Rubio, right? Where they're just openly talking about imperialism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Might is right.
Yes.
We're going to use the power and the force of the American military. That's what's going to determine peace. We're going to take everything that we have the ability to take, simply because we have the power to do so. And that is a dangerous.
Well, that's almost barbaric. I mean, come on, seriously. It's like during the Baltic or, the Viking time, or during times when they would go in and take over kingdoms and pilferage and just take everything and this is ours now.
Yeah. I think that's where we are.
Wow.
I think we're just there, but today with social media.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So imagine if the Vikings had Twitter. That's basically what's
that would have
going
been
on.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Seriously.
You know what I mean? Because, diplomacy is gone. And I think about, and democracy was eliminated at home first.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And, and I tell a lot of my friends that, I believe that America has gone feral. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And is reverting back to its wild state where it caused so much suffering and pain that the reflection of itself caused it to course correct its own self.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is now going through a cycle where the symptoms that it had from that illness that it created its own antibodies for, which was progressive liberalism from the 60s through really 2017.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was, people talk about political correctness, cancel culture, wokeness, they don't like the stuff. Those realities came from something.
Yes, they did.
Those things came in response to barbarism.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
50 years of barbarism.
Mm-hmm.
That's what created political correctness.
Yeah.
That's what created cancel culture. That's what created wokeness in the Black community that's been hijacked by progressive liberals. And now conservatives are fighting against the progressive liberal version of wokeness. But wokeness is a Black thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they act like now after, a couple centuries of barbarism created, 60, 70 years of a response, they're considered that to be oppression. You know what I mean?
Come on, give me a history lesson. Come on.
And now
pay attention in history, guys.
and now that response to barbarism is now considered to be oppression. The response is to become barbaric again.
Yeah.
And that's why those things existed in the first place, is because when you take the Band-Aid off, what you have is a raging wound that's out of control, infesting. You know what I mean?
Infestation. Yeah.
And that's what the response is. I don't know how else to explain to people. And even, we were talking about how, it shouldn't be a problem to, to have, like self-pride and pride in your community and stuff like that. And so Black people do that,
Yeah.
And a lot of white folks will be like, well, why can't we do that? Or when we do that, it's a problem. Well, it's not necessarily that doing that is a problem. It's just that historically, when Black people turned inward and sought to be Black and prideful, the mechanism of doing that didn't generate a system of oppression of white people.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Exactly. So basically, when they went into their prideness, it was to oppress a lesser community instead of just being proud
of who you are.
And
exactly.
So, yeah.
And even today, it may not have been the purpose or the intention of a person like Charlie Kirk or somebody like that to empower white folks to not have to tiptoe around and feel bad about who they are. Oh, that's perfectly good.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Nobody wants nobody to feel like that.
Yeah.
Black people don't want
to feel like
that either.
Yeah.
But the people who hear that message, the other white people, their empowerment as a result of that is to be racist.
Yeah.
They can say nigga more.
Yeah.
And feel empowered to say it.
Yeah.
The girl called a little boy a nigga and get $1 million on a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, that there's a disconnect in understanding what having pride is.
Yeah.
In yourself, in your community, and what domination is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that America is just at a point where the particular group of people who are in power have gone through a period of dealing with the response to barbarism. They've associated that response as an oppressive force upon themselves, and their liberation in response to that is barbarism. And you see it with ICE. You see it, so it started in the country.
Mm-hmm.
We was landing Black Hawk helicopters on American apartment buildings.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah.
The kids had to go to school the next day or whatever. And, okay, they're going to look for illegal immigrants. Okay, whatever. But you land in a Black Hawk helicopter on the roof of other Americans.
Yeah.
Who aren't guilty of any crime.
Yeah.
And you're the government.
Yeah.
The government is walking around cities with guns.
Yeah.
And yelling at other Americans.
Yeah.
Who have not committed any crimes. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's barbarism.
And they're calling it, what is it? What's the word? Fog of war?
Oh my God.
Well, no, fog of war is when they blew up killed the 2 guys on the boat.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, it's, we're sorry, you're getting caught up, but we got to get these people. So you just got to live with it.
Like collateral damage.
Collateral damage. That's right. Yeah.
And so the regeneration of like this rage, this anger and stuff like that, this, I'm going to take what I can just because I had the power to do it. It started in-house first, and now it's starting to reflect internationally.
And honestly, there was a study, and I want to say it was in the 40s or 50s, in a college where they had, and I know you've heard of this study and they've done it over and over again, where you had half the class became citizens and the other half became law enforcement. And some of the citizens broke laws and the law enforcement really went over and beyond with the force.
Yeah.
So where you have regular everyday Joe Blows who have a job, who work for immigration, have been there for years, and now you've given them authority to unleash their everyday frustrations, their home situations, their anger about their kid, they're on innocent people. And then you've got people on this side that are lashing out because you're so out of line for coming in our neighborhoods and just unleashing all kind of terror, not on the illegals, but on babies and children who are scared to death because you're running in our neighborhoods with these guns and screaming and hollering. It is just like a combustible. Yeah. And it's coming from our government.
Yeah. And it's gonna get worse. That's what's crazy about it, is that it's gonna get worse. And the only way this situation ends is it ends with something so horrific that it shocks the community back into a more middle course.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hear people constantly talk about America having a civil war. And the thing that I think worries me the most is we have a government whose mindset is about it's about money. It's about it's not about the people. It's not about the country. It is about amassing wealth. You have no foreign policy understanding. You have no diplomacy whatsoever. And you are just going at it with a business mindset, because that's no different than a hostile takeover for one company to another.
Right.
So you go at government with hostile takeover mindset. And you think about you are weakening our defenses by utilizing our men and women who are trained to serve and protect our communities, to make sure that we're not sleeping in our bed one night and have airstrikes or an actual missile hit, the middle of America, Kansas City, you are, or even New York or California, if you hit just the edge, Hawaii, again.
Yeah.
You have military scattered all over the world. We're in skirmishes everywhere. And so now, if we do have a civil war, then what? So now we'll have a war in our, if this were to happen, we'll have a war in our country. The wealthiest people who have caused this war will never get touched. They will leave us in a complete mess and be gone to wherever it is they want to go.
Yeah.
And so that's when
and they know that.
Yeah.
And that's why they that's why they behave like it reminds me of when I was a little kid, a friend of the family used to take us fishing. And he was an older gentleman, real poor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he used to try to do something for the kids.
Yeah.
And he never had enough tackle is what they call it. He never had enough like stuff for all the kids who were fishing.
Right.
He only had like 3 hooks, but it'd be 8 kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or whatever. And so he was very careful about how, people where you're casting at, what you're doing, because to lose these things that he has few of would be detrimental. It would shut down the whole operation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But now imagine if he had an unlimited supply of this stuff.
Yeah.
The way it would change his behavior.
Yeah.
Oh, you lost it? No problem. Just cut it.
Yeah.
Just cut it.
Yeah.
Put a new one on there,
Yeah.
right? Have that conversation, right?
Yeah.
And these folks are running the country like they got an infinite country.
Yeah.
Like if they lose it, just cut it.
Just cut it. Yeah.
Just go get another one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're not behaving as if something was to happen that it would have an impact on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and it is very interesting that, the same group of people that supported this primarily to put it in play supposedly are, the most patriotic, supposed to have the strongest connection to the country and the Constitution.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, it's just, it's not weird. It's not unexpected. It's just, it's almost like, it's just unbelievable that we are going where we're going as a country. I don't really know how else to say it.
I know it's unreal.
Unreal.
And,
That's
and
the
so
word.
no one is really thinking anything is going to happen because it is unreal.
Yeah.
It is almost like something you might see on a sci-fi flick.
Yeah.
Or some of the movies that come out and you're waiting on Tom Cruise to, come and save the world or something. I don't know. A Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
But, one of the questions that I always seem, and like I said, I believe in America. I think America is the greatest country ever. But we also are so cocky in the thinking that no other country has the intelligence or has the power to come into our territory and cause havoc.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Well, so what we do is we're confident in our belief that toe to toe, pound for pound, we can dominate any other military force on earth. What we're not considering is what will happen if other military forces join together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the first thing that this administration did a lot of in the first year was shit on all our allies. We totally turned our back on all of these other countries.
France, Canada,
Mexico.
And he said the other day, Mexico, look out.
Yeah.
Mexico, you on the list.
Yeah.
So
and it's like yes, America is capable of doing all of these things, but what America is not capable of doing is having a situation where the world has to view America as the global threat.
Mm-hmm.
Like the threat to global security and stability becomes the United States.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because the way we think, we can't even imagine ourselves being the boogeyman.
Right. Oh my God, that is so true. We really have this idea that, you know, we're the good guys.
Yeah.
We wear the white hats.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We don't realize that, you know, I mean, we've probably been the bad guy for a long time, but like,
I know my dad told me.
yeah,
That's why a ROTC cadet could not go to the Air Force because her father said, absolutely not.
yeah,
You need to know, he said, you need to know the enemy that you fight.
mm-hmm.
And I didn't understand that for years. But what he was saying was he fought for the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And on several skirmishes, maybe not always, but, and then being a black man, even though he looked not black, but he was a black man and treated like a black man,
Mm-hmm.
In World War II,
yeah,
in Korean War, and even the Vietnam War, black soldiers were not treated well.
right.
Were not treated well.
Yeah.
And so, and they had menial jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he just happened to be a mechanic, so he was motor pool and in the airplane hangars, and so actually that was a higher rank than most, but still,
yeah,
it was not nowhere near where he should have been.
right. And yeah, and it's just it's an eerie feeling to think about, but it could be something that could be helpful to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Is to just consider that, you know, perhaps we are the bad guys.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I show people pictures of you can look up pictures of the old the concentration camps during the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
You can the employees, the people who work there.
Yeah.
You can look up pictures of these people, you know, they took photographs like during their lunch breaks and stuff. You know, and they're out there playing the accordion and eating ice cream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It looks like the way we look now.
Yeah.
Just out here chilling, eating donuts, watching NFL.
Yeah.
Playing PlayStation.
Yeah. Going to the mall.
Yeah.
Shopping.
Right.
You know.
Driving your BMW.
Fine.
Right?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, you know, your government is atrocious.
Yeah.
And it's causing pain and suffering all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, but in order for you to have that lifestyle, it's actually beneficial for you, for your government to be like that.
Well, I guess.
And so it's like, this is where you really get into the real deep philosophical discussion about what does it mean to be an American? You know, what do you want? You know, and I love having these types of conversations with American Christians specifically because, you know, if you know that these things are happening and the things that you have, your livelihood is supported by these activities. Because you got to think, let's just do an easy one. Venezuela, right? Oil. Don't you drive a car?
Yeah.
Yeah. So therefore,
that's gonna, and I mean, and that was one of the things that came up last night on CNN. It was like, I mean, who can be mad that we're going to get oil and our gas prices are going to go down? Who can be mad about that?
Yeah,
and
like, all the products that come from oil, you know what I mean?
All the products and all,
the asphalt pavement and the you know, the
it's so many
products,
things.
yeah,
It's
everything
so
that's
many
created.
but another thing which was really interesting when we talk about stopping the flow of drugs coming into America.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start thinking the flow of Venezuelan drugs, it's cocaine.
Yeah.
How much of our pharmaceuticals take the cocaine to make? How much cocaine do we buy legally to produce a lot of the medications that we give every day?
Yeah, opioids. Yeah, the drug industry in the United States is far more dangerous than Venezuela from a drug standpoint.
So, I mean, anything with codeine.
Yeah.
Anything with codeine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
Here's alcohol,
alcohol.
cigarettes.
Yeah.
Killing millions of Americans all day. You know what I mean? But it's just like these buzz things that you can put out at a high level to just get people to not care about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And not care about the people you're doing it to. It's like if you know, as long as you can say somebody's a terrorist, everybody's like, oh, okay, well, they should be dead.
But this is the thing. How can you be a bully? Because we're bullies.
Yeah.
Truly, we're bullies.
Mm-hmm.
How can you be a bully and then call other people bullies? I mean, we really are straight bullies.
Yeah.
And we'll say it in your face.
Mm-hmm. And then won't bring that bully money and distribute it to the rest of the community.
No.
You know, if everybody was able to eat at the American table, I think, you know, we could be some bullies.
We could all be all right. Yeah. Well,
but damn, you know, you go bully and take all the resources, all the money, and then you give it to 1%.
Yeah.
You know, 1% of the people benefit from it.
Yeah.
You know, like they say, when they were saying that they're gonna get this oil in Venezuela to enrich the Venezuelan people, like I almost laughed out loud. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, in what situation? Explain how the oil business in the United States enriches American people. Explain that one. You know what I mean?
It's consumption.
You know,
it's consumption.
Yeah.
And so it's not enriching. The only thing it's doing is making sure that you can get your gas a little cheaper.
Exactly. It's like ovens bake.
Yeah.
They don't do taxes.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But what they're telling us is that this oven is about to do your taxes, actually, is what it's saying. And we're like, nah, I think it's going to bake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These companies and corporations in the United States do not enrich the general population.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They don't.
So there is no scenario that some kind of corporate state, whatever they're trying to set up over there, is going to enrich the general population. There's going to be a small percentage of people who prosper, and everybody else is going to be a consumer and going to be living check to check, paycheck to paycheck, or dying with no health insurance.
So let me ask this question, because when it all boils down and we come back, because people really want to know, okay, yeah. What the bottom line, what happens to me as a small business? What happens to me as an employee to the auto manufacturing company? What happens to me, the homeowner? How does this affect or change my life? What should I be looking for, or what should I be doing, or how can I prepare myself?
That's a good question. And we were talking about the consumer thing, and because so many products are impacted by, oil production, it ain't just cars.
No. Oh no.
Like, I don't think people really understand how many things have oil in them.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet, like, even, there's something in this TV that's some of the plastic or something that's got some oil in it or something in there like that. But just from a general sense, as a homeowner, business owner, or whatever you consume as a part of your production for your business, your means of production, all these things are going to come into play here. Because everybody exists in an endless connection of supply chains.
Right.
And the supply chains are connected to the market. And then the market is dealing with all kinds of things happening inside the country, outside the country.
Yeah.
And when there's a yank over here, it yanks this link, this link, this link, this link, and it comes all the way down to you. And it don't matter if you in the 50s or if you in Lee Summit, it don't matter. You're going to get touched.
Right.
And it don't matter if it's a reduction in the supply of wheat in Ukraine as a result of the war with Russia.
Right.
Or the United States capturing more oil out of Venezuela and then disrupting China's ability to have access to the oil, and then China stops buying soybeans again, and then what I'm saying?
It's a chain reaction.
Yeah,
and things it'll come around.
Yes. It'll hit you. And so, I think when big global events like this happen, even like a small business or even somebody in their household, keep your receipts.
Mm-hmm.
Take a picture of your receipt for the groceries that you buy. If you're a business owner, get your receipts out for the goods and services that you purchase in order to produce whatever goods and services you produce, and just keep comparing your receipts
as they go along, and you'll see how it affects you.
Yeah, you'll see how it touches you directly in your wallet.
Well, I mean, and let's just look at we talk about utilities. I've heard people.
Yes,
I've heard people within the last 3 months talking about the change in their gas bill, in their light bill, and all of this is due to this global economic crazy. Yes, I'm gonna call it economic crazy. We never know what one thing that happened in Ukraine and how it affects our everyday life.
Right.
And I think that's the important thing, is that I hear this, when I said this before the show, I hear people, especially Black people, say, oh, well, we ain't never had nothing, and we know how to handle it. We used to this. But honestly, we are not.
Yeah.
Not this generation. This generation doesn't know anything about a dress that gets passed down from the big sister all the way down to the baby sister and gets resewn.
No internet.
No internet. Wearing shoes that are too big for you, but that's the only other, we can't afford to buy another pair of shoes. We don't know. I don't know anything about that. And people don't believe that exists, but you go to countries where that is an everyday occurrence. You go to countries where people are thriving and happy, but they're not living the luxury lives that we tend to live in this country, even to the effect of homeless people who have carts full of, we call it junk or, old stuff, but they have stuff. Where you have people that are living in no windows, no walls, and sharing the same clothing, and not having what we have.
Yeah, and you have our president and vice president saying that to us, that it's going to get hard. You might not be able to buy.
Right. They're telling you, they're giving, and that, and to his credit, he has told us step by step what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it in your face. So this is going to end our second episode of Straight from the Heart. Right now, I think we should be in a series because we've given out a lot of information about what's going on in America. We are about to enter a midterm election, a time to get out and let our voices be heard. It may be the very last time you get a chance to do that, because as I look at the political landscape and the mapping that's being made now, he said, vote for me and you'll never have to vote again.
Yeah.
If you don't think that was a real statement. Check his moves. He is turning DC into the Trump kingdom. He is putting his name on everything that he puts his steps on. I mean, you done went from the Kennedy Center to the Trump Kennedy Center.
Mhm.
I mean, waiting on him. He's probably already got someone on Mount Rushmore carving his face up there.
Mm.
He is basically establishing a kingdom and a monarchy.
Mhm.
And this may be our last chance to stop that. And it may not even work then, because he has worked his way into having an illegal Supreme Court to overturn anything that he says that's illegal, including the Constitution. So again, this may be our last chance. So our next episode, we will be talking about the power of the vote, why we vote, and where you should be really focusing in on. The presidency, yes, always vote for your president. But more important than your president is your state and local municipalities, your governor,
Judges.
your judges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know if you've ever voted and you gone in and you've seen all these judges' names on the list, you need to research before you go and vote who these judges are, what their record is, and what they stand for.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that affect you, your family, your livelihood. And we will talk about that in our next episode. Again, thank you again for spending time with Khalid and I for Straight from the Heart. We will continue throughout the year to bring you some really, really good information. And there will be other shows and other guests, but I'm always going to have my number one stunner, top host, and hopefully I'll have you. Have a great one.